Hey, Spiritual Warfare 102. So, God doesn't normally use people that are wealthy. God uses, for one thing, as a janitor. He has the keys to all the door locks to all the building, and they clean up the building and they pray in the building. So, there's a lot of witchcraft going on everywhere. So, people need to know that Satan has to tell you what he's doing before he does it. That's the rules. That's God's rules. Did you know that? Satan has to tell on himself. So in the book of Job, when the sons of God were there and also the devil was there with them, the devil didn't want to test Job. The sons of God had to discern if Job should be tested. Now, of course, Job was found worthy. He was codependent with his children. See, Moses just got mad and broke the commandments. He didn't compromise, but the way he did it got in God's way because of his anger. It's like when he struck the rock for water was one time, but then the next time he's supposed to speak to the rock was a sign of obedience instead of taking it in his own flesh, because we do not war against flesh and blood, but principalities in high places. So it's early sunny day morning here in South Florida. So I will show you on the map in another video or two that you could map this stuff, okay? But it's not going to do you any good unless you're a disciple. So the devil flexes his muscle, his elbow. So Satan even spoke it out loud that he had over 300. This is back in the 70s. He said he had over 300 ministries in Sarasota and Manatee County in his hip pocket, which meant they were bought and sold by him. Hip pocket, little purse, wallet. Nowadays, we know a wallet's probably a butt pocket. So, I got over 300 ministries in my hip pocket. So you don't think I'm getting prayed against? Yeah, they're praying against me. And they don't even know and understand. It says in the book, type in, they do not know and they will not understand. It's in the book. It's in the script. So they do not know and they do not understand. They won't understand, even the people. So there's a property out here. They have speakers come from all over the U.S., including Jonathan Cahn. But the powers that be there have no discernment, and they have witches and warlocks in their entourage, in their leadership. And they were caught praying over the property, and they were praying satanic rituals, covenants, and chants in Latin over the property. They were praying it over the property and into the people that live on the property. Can you imagine that? And then I know a lot of people here in Bridgeton that think that these guys are okay. And they have a swingers club. Some of them even been caught pedophilia. And who knows what you don't want to know. So many of them, think I'm being a brat because I'm telling you the truth. And they're guilty through affiliation. So it says, do not even eat with them. It's in the script. Do not hang out with them. Do not eat with them. Do not promote them. And I'm surprised that people still give them money because they think they're a ministry of God. So Jonathan Cahn will be there. I forget when. So if you type in Jonathan Cahn, Manatee County Christian Retreat. So death rides over the property. So if you traced it way back when the Jesus freak time of the 60s, where, it was all sex and drugs and rock and roll on one hand, and Jesus was pouring out a spirit on the other, they came into this. They came into this area. In the principalities, but nowadays they're what we call the territorial demons. Because they want to lock up both counties, Sarasota and Manatee County. So University Parkway was called County Line Road. So then they established a lot of the satanic in Sarasota. Everybody knows about Sarasota. Even Hollywood resides here. Not Hollywood either. It's a holiday. It's sex and drugs and liquor and whatever. So they keep the gates of hell open. And a friend was staying on the property. My friend's a missionary, and he was out of the States. He let this apostle stay on his property. This apostle used to work with Reinhard Bonnke. And they were talking about, the gates, the portals that were open, and how there's creatures coming and going on the property. If you look on the map, it says the Devil's Elbow. So then their son came out of the bedroom. I think he was about 9, 10 years old, 11 years old, something. I forget. Comes out and shows his daddy a picture of a chupacabra. And he says, where did you see this? He says, out back on the property. So these portals, through incantations, satanic incantations, usher in the demonic, because they usher in through people's fears. Faith cancels out everything of the devil, because if you had faith that Jesus canceled all covenants, all blood covenants, all contracts, and it's a fact that he canceled all blood covenants, contracts, then you would not fear. So I can go on these properties and see what's going on in the spirit. And the Lord showed me that murders happen there. And so when I was doing this prayer walks back in the early 2000s, and I found out that these gates of hell in Sarasota and Manatee County, these are the main gates through satanic ritual. It wasn't just war. Wars and rumors of war, because, you'll look at the map and you'll look at trying to figure this out in your own brain, which doesn't work because it's a discernment, a heart-to-heart connection with the Lord. To where these people, you can look on the map where plenty of people are murdered in war, but doesn't necessarily be the gate of hell. It could be nearby, because it ties into satanic ritual. So Satan's praying over both sides to murder each other. He plays a tit for tat and a north for a south in the civil wars and whatever, to mess up both sides to get blood covenants and murder. So a lot of murders took place along the Manatee River, Sarasota Bay, Philippi Creek. Because normally, it's just like the animals thrive. They normally, animals go up and down the riverways, the waterways, because that's where all the other game is that gets their water. and their fruit and their berries and everything up and down the waterways. And then the demons run up and down the waterways. They don't like dry places. So if you look in the Bible or just type it in the internet, dry places, demons, dry places. So in the river, Euphrates dries up or gets dry. They're screaming for release into the world, back into the world that they came from. And depending on your obedience or disobedience, the Lord will allow them to devour people, just like the hurricanes. Let's just jump over to the massive Melissa hurricane. So why is it allowed? Why is it enhanced? Why is it accelerated? Because it's manipulated through witchcraft, through scientific means. And it's a massive category 5. It's decimating the island Jamaica. Now, if you know anything about history, Solomon's pagan wives had many children because Solomon had over 1,000 women. Solomon asked for wisdom, but the dumbest thing is he allows his pagan wives to build temples. He even gives them gold and jewels and whatever to build the temples to their gods. That's crazy. So they drop off their children, Solomon's children, for hundreds of years and even thousands on the barrier islands, the pagan children. And then they go there and sell them into slavery. That's why you'll see a lot of people with big, giant earrings and gold chains and all that. That's a symbol that they're the pagan children of Solomon. They like their trinkets. So it goes on and on, but we're not really going to go there. But we're talking about the massive category 5. So I asked the Lord, when is religion going to be done away with? Because the Romans killed Jesus, killed the disciples, and reopened the temple and called it a church. They hijacked the revelation of Jesus Christ that Paul had and turned it into a church. Just as they did in the past, they collected the money. They had hijacked the Ark of the Covenant. Wasn't even behind the Holy of Holies curtains. They took the money and run. So the religion will be done away with after the Catholicism and after the Seventh-day Adventists. So there's a debate on Catholicism and Sunday worship. It goes back to the history of Constantine. And so they have the sun worship and Sabbath day worship. So they're in cahoots with each other to birth forth the Antichrist. So you see a lot of Hollywood actors, and when you find out what religion they are of, Catholics and or Seventh-day Adventists. But the Catholicism is the mother whore, Babylonian mother whore, the mystery Babylon in Revelation. And they won't do, God won't, how do you say it? God allows this to happen, just like he allowed Judas to sell Jesus out. If Judas didn't sell Jesus out, none of us would be salvaged in this time. So the Antichrist has to come. So the last hurrah, the last massive 5, cat claws. The Babylonian system has to birth. They've already birthed tons of pedophiles, tons of witches and warlocks, and through sexual rituals and blood covenants. You know, like the man says, I don't need no black magician telling me where I go when I die. Now he's pushing up daisies now, if you get my drift. So last hurrah, the last showdown, it's going to be a showdown, is the birth of the Antichrist, because they birthed tons of Antichrists through religion. So we had the Bethel Baptist, where they hired this youth minister, and he was a pedophile. And he put a bunch of cameras in his house, and he had a swimming pool, so he invited the youth over there. We don't know if he molested any of the youth. This is like 20 years ago. And they took him on a mission trip, and on the mission trip, they went down and had him arrested, brought back to the States, because they found out he had cameras taking pictures of the kids when they're changing their clothes. At Bethel Baptist, which Bethel in the Bible means a dwelling place for the Lord. It goes to the name of Elijah Bethel. So the devil has to tell you what he's doing. So the thing is, been doing this over 25 years, going to different places and seeing what the devil's doing. It's even on the maps at the devil's elbow. And then when 9/11 happened, it was ritual. The rituals went down in Sarasota County. And then everybody's pointing to the television. And it happened in New York. But New York is not ground zero for the spiritual. It happened in Sarasota, Manatee County. For the rituals to take place, for them to take down the towers. May be hard to follow this. But the bottom line is Satan has to tell you what he's doing, where he's doing it, why he's allowed to do it, because we, the Christians, allow him to do it. See, back in that time, Judas was allowed to sell Jesus out. And in this time, the false Christians that have no Spirit of God, they're not disciples. Anybody can be a Christian. Biggest warlock can be a Christian, because there's no discernment of spirits. And you don't have them confess Jesus. Lived, died, and resurrected in you. That's how you test the spirits. We talked about that. If they can't confess Jesus, even if they can confess Jesus, their demons have to flee for that moment. Now, they can come back in a little while, because they could be lying and using the name, just like Jesus said, use my name. So what people don't realize, the stronghold for the entire U.S. of A. is in Florida. It's in Sarasota County. Okay, then the witches and warlocks work from here to Asheville. And that's why the storms are allowed to go up there and knock down altars, wash them away. There's a lot of people that are innocent up there, but the problem is you're innocent for your ignorance, but that doesn't nullify the law. The law is the law. Eye for an eye, tooth for a tooth. Satan kills, Satan gets killed. Satan resurrects altars, God has to destroy them. So then you have California, which a lot of them reside in Sarasota County. And then California, the majority of the stronghold is in Santa Monica. If you want to look up the words Santa and Monica. And New York, Long Island is where the strongholds are, where the satanic prayers go out. Now, they can go out anywhere. But God will destroy these cities, just like he did with Sodom and Gomorrah. If my people, called by my name, Christ in, will submit and be disciples, then he will heal the land. He will protect the land, which is really the people first. Right, kitty cat? Right, kitty cat? Morning copy. So, the devil has to tell you what he's doing, where he's doing it, why he's doing it. So as we go to heaven, to the third heaven, now Satan's not allowed there anymore because all the revelation has already been done to where Satan cannot, he's not allowed because the covenant contracts are all null and void. Now he's allowed to test people, but he's not allowed in the third heaven. He's still allowed to fly his broomstick, his witchcraft, and the reason why they have brooms, symbolic of the witches with brooms, flying on brooms, is because they're allowed in the astral realm, which is where people do the remote viewing and all that. So they're still allowed to manipulate, control, and coerce people through satanic prayer and ritual. And they could go in your house. Their spirit man, their bad soul can go in your house and pray against your people while you're sleeping or even while you're awake, because people don't have discernment of spirits. And how do we win this war? Well, first of all, when you wake up here from the third heaven, or when you just wake up here, there's a battle lines. The battle lines have already been drawn, and you have to wake up. What's the devil doing, where he's doing it, why he's doing it. So very soon the news will be in the news, all over the news. Will only be about Jesus and why he's doing it, where he's doing it, how he's doing it. But a lot of people just want the stuff. They just want the money. They just want the recognition. They just want to be Lucifer. So there's many people who want to be worshipped, just like Lucifer and the fallen angels. You know, the giants, the Nephilim, the offspring of the fallen. So a lot of people love to be prideful on the stages, especially evangelists. Evangelists love to be part of the swingers clubs. And there's some of them that are innocent for their ignorance, because there's not a blanket across the board, because it's like the church. Like, there's so many good Catholics. They mean well, they are nice people, but they haven't been discipled and taught about spiritual warfare. You know, some great exorcists come out of the Catholic Church. You know, then you read Padre Pio and different ones. So it's a mixed bag. Can no longer be a mixed bag. Put the cat in the bag. Put the cat in the bag. So imagine putting a bunch of cats in the bag. They'd be clawing their way out. So we bind the devil so that he has no jurisdiction here. And that will be very soon in many places. But you got to understand, the last hurrah, they have to birth one more bad offspring. The main Antichrist. They birthed plenty of Antichrists and pedophiles and satanic witches and warlocks in the churches, the Babylonian system, the Mystery Babylon. So they're in the Baptist churches, the Methodist, Presbyterian, whatever. They're doing satanic rituals normally unbeknownst to the leadership. So they're doing satanic rituals because they have keys to the offices and whatever. You know, could be a bad janitor. Normally janitors are good, but, you know, not all of us are good. Not all of them janitors are good. So they have these, they're doing satanic incantations and chants inside the church building. And some of them are doing it in the basements. And then you notice that some churches are built on graves. Just like they said St. Peter's Basilica is built on Peter's grave. You build a church on death? You build a church on death? Spiritual Warfare 102.a star date in 2025, November. So we'll talk more about this. But practicing warlocks, yeah, we get prayed against all the time, but the prayers don't stick because we have God's Spirit in us, not just a name only. You know, when you get married, did you just take on the name? Was it just a merger or was it a marriage? Like and subscribe. God bless you.